Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome to another episode of Jash Reads. Tonight, we are continuing reading Animorphs number 8, The Alien by K.A. Applegate. Now, sorry that this video is coming out a little late, a little after 4 a.m., but I decided to have a little late night snack, and yeah, that's why it's late. Yeah, so let's continue reading. Okay, in a moment I thought I adjusted the light settings on the Kindle to be perfect. And yeah, made like a slight miscalculation. So actually, let's begin now. Books are an amazing human invention. They allow instant access to information simply by turning pieces of paper. They are much faster to use than computers. Surprisingly, humans invented books before computers. They do many things backwards. From the Earth Diary of Eximli Isgorth Istil. It was evening of the next day. I was in the woods. I was reading a book. The book was called The World Almanac. Did you know that 12% of households have a dehumidifier? Did you know that a sheep can live for 20 years? Did you know that humans used to believe the sun orbited Earth? It's a wonderful book. The book told me many useful things. It took humans only 66 years to go from inventing the first flying machine to landing on the moon. It took Andalites almost 3 times as long. Humans are a very clever species. Someday, if they survive, they could be one of the great races of the galaxy. Of course, Andalites will always be greater. I was standing by the stream, with one hoof in the water, drinking, when my stalk eyes saw a swift shadow falling from the sky. Tobias opened his wings and shot just over my head. Axe! Everyone is looking for you. Stay right here. Have to get them. He had kept most of his speed, so he swiftly disappeared above the trees. But a moment later, he was back, with 4 other large birds of prey following him. Tobias took a position on a branch. The others landed on the ground. I knew then it was the other Animorphs. They quickly began to demorph. Prince Jake grew out of a falcon's racing body. Rachel emerged from a huge bald eagle. Cassie and Marco had both acquired osprey morphs and were now becoming human again. I felt a tingling of worry. They had obviously been searching for me and were in a hurry. What is the matter? I asked. What's the matter? Marco demanded. You're asking what's the matter? I'll tell. But just at that point, Marco crossed the line from thought speak morph back to human. His mouth was still a beak, however, so he just squawked. I watched Cassie as she made the change. Cassie is a natural estrine, a person with an ability to make morphine almost artistic. On my planet, it is an art form. There are professional estrines who change shape in fantastic, beautiful ways. Cassie was not professional, but she had the talent. As she morphed, she formed pleasant shapes. For a while, she had an enlarged osprey's head, as large as a human head, and vast wings attached to a human body. When the others morph, they are much less subtle. For them, human parts simply ooze out while feathers melt away. It's very unappealing. The humans find it frightening and disgusting as well, I believe. And they even recognize that Cassie has a talent for morphing. What did you do? Marco's human mouth had reappeared. I don't understand the question. My dad's computer. You did something to it, didn't you? I I merely played the game. Game? Game? That was no game. That was my dad's work. No, it was a game. You had to find the errors in the instructions. Suddenly, an idea occurred to me. Oh, I understand. Your father designs games for children. Cassie started to laugh, then silenced herself. No, Axe. He writes software programs for high-tech uses. He was working with astronomers at the observatory. They were designing a program for aiming the radio telescope at the new observatory. I nodded, as I had seen humans do. Yes, it could be used for that purpose, but it was so obviously full of errors. I assumed it was a child's game. If you say game again, I swear I'm going to punch you, Marco said. Prince Jake put his hand on Marco's shoulder. What Marco means is it was not a game, Axe. His father is going nuts about it. My dad says you may have created some whole new branch of computer software, plus, at the same time, opened up new ways to do astronomy. He showed it to the guys at the observatory. They are totally losing it. They're talking about Nobel Prizes. Had to convince my dad it was just an accident. I told him you were an idiot and you were not the next Einstein. Einstein, yes. I read about him in the World Almanac. He was the first human to realize that matter and energy acts. Rachel exploded. Are you not getting this? What if some controllers hears about this new software? Don't you think they might guess it was an android who came up with it? It hit me quite suddenly. She was right. If those equations were supposed to be real, not a game, but real, then I had just pushed human science ahead by a century. Maybe more. I think he just got it, Marco said sarcastically. What is a radio telescope? I asked Marco. He shrugged. Like I would know. What am I, a science teacher? A radio telescope is a telescope that sees by picking up radio waves and other radiation from outer space, Cassie said. Marco gave her an incredulous look. Not all of us sleep through science class, Marco, Cassie said. I see. A primitive sensor. Yes, that would make sense. Of course, with the changes I made. What? Marco snapped. What about the changes you made? The changes I made would only. Suddenly, I stopped. The truth, the whole truth, was beginning to dawn on me. A radio telescope? A huge, high powered collector of broad spectrum energy? My mind raced through memories of classes from a long time ago. I could almost picture my teacher explaining, yes, yes, with the right adjustments, the right software, yes, I could bounce the collected energy back, focus it, modulate it with my own mind, and break into Z space, zero space. I could use the system to send messages through Z space. I could communicate with my own world. I felt it as a blow that made me weak. It was true. I could use that radio telescope to call my home world, and call my people, my family. I don't think I had ever admitted till that moment just how much I wanted to see another Andalite. Axe, what are you hiding now? Rachel demanded. I tried to concentrate on her question, but my mind was spinning. It made me feel weak. I could contact my home planet. I could. But at the same time, there was another truth. I had to destroy this technology. I had broken the Lost Zero's kindness. I had given the humans a huge advance in technology. Axe, Rachel asked you a question, Prince Jake said tersely. What is this? What's up with you? My duty was clear. I could not tell my human friends what I had done. I had to erase the damage. Before I did that, would it be wrong to contact my family? Would it be so wrong to once again see them? I am not hiding anything. I lied. Nothing at all. And that's that. I think at the end there, my voice had started to go all over the place, so sorry about that. So, like Axe, like, oh, your father makes children's games, and yeah, like Rachel was the first one to bring it up, but I think Marco, being smart as he is, probably knew it first, and that's why he was getting all up in arms, thinking the Yerks might, do something to his dad. And just that game. God, that game thing. It's so primitive. It must be a game. Oh, and something I want to point out near the beginning of this chapter that I think was more referencing the 90s than modern days, when it says they are much faster to use than computers. I think that was definitely talking about the computers in the era that these books were released in the 90s. Now, if you're young, you won't remember how hard the internet used to be. It used to go slow. Like nowadays, you can get the browser you want, say Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and you open the browser and you go in. But with back in my days, like these are the moments that these books make me feel really old. You would have to log into something like America Online. And only one person could, I believe only one person could be signed in at a time, like at the same IP address, one at a time. So yeah, and then that took a little bit to start up there. And now I'm getting flashbacks of the tone. And if you wanted to download something like, say, a really, really small video file for reasons, which I never did for Like, I was a late bloomer. But anyways, you would have to do that small video, and that could take a little bit. So when this book was released, yeah, the computers were going much slower than today. So if you take into account how slow computers used to be back when these books were written, that thing about the books being faster than computers makes a lot more sense. A lot more. Which is why if they ever actually decide to do an Animorphs TV show or movie or a combination of the two, they would really have to set this stuff in the 90s, because this is a very 90s series. Like in one of the, not later books, but somewhere down the line, they deal with airport security much differently than if they were to do it, today. So yeah, it's like things about that, all the different talk about the technology, like computers. It makes me feel old. Like, I'm like, I remember back in my day. Get off my lawn, young whippersnappers. So, okay, I'm actually offering two questions for today. First is for all those who grew up in the 90s. What do you think about how much faster? No, how about this? No, yeah. Okay, I was going back to my first question. I was editing, and that sounds really horrible when you do it out loud. But anyways, first question is only for the people who lived in the 90s. So I want to ask you, what do you think about how fast computers go nowadays to how fast computers went back in the 90s? And do you think X's quote in the beginning of the chapter makes more sense if you're, going back and comparing, flipping of book pages to, the internet back in the 90s? And for all you young whippersnappers, what do you think about how Axe views following zero kindness and how that makes him lie? Like, what do you think about that? What would you do if you were in Axe's situation? And please leave me the comments down below. Leave me in the comments whatever the heck I meant. Okay, just comment down below about those questions, and also anything else you notice in this chapter, or it can just be general praise about myself, because I don't get enough of that in real life, hence this blog. Well, if you're watching watching this video on my blog, that makes a lot more sense. So anyways, okay, and remember, no major spoilers, because I'm hoping against hope that people get into the Animorphs series via these videos. But if you don't want to talk spoilers with me, if you're on the YouTube's link in the description to my Tumblr Ask Box, and ask away, and do not worry, because you don't need YouTube account. You don't need a Tumblr account to ask a question. I have Anon turned on, so there you go. And if you are just new to the Animorphs fandom, hello, new Phantomorph. We do not have cookies here, but we do have cinnamon buns, aka humanity's greatest creation. And if you would like your very own copy of Animorphs number 8, The Alien by K. Applegate, if you're watching on the YouTube's link in the description, if you're watching on my blog, link down below, and both links will take you to where you can buy your very own copy of Animorphs number 8, The Alien by K. Applegate. Now, I can understand not wanting to buy via those links for whatever reason, But if you do buy via those links, you get Animorphs number 8, your very own copy. You also help support Kay Applegate, and you help support me and my blog. So if you've been a fan for a little bit and you're like, hey, how can I help support Jash? Here's a way. Another way, of course, is reblogging, retweeting, whatever, just generally sharing this video so I get a larger audience. I am at your mercy. I am actually. Anyways, if you are watching this on the YouTubes, please like this video. If if, if you just if you like that conversation where Axe is like, "Oh, so your dad makes children's games," and please subscribe to this channel because I will be reading the entire Animorphs series, and I am also reading the Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Polini. So, two great sarcastic podcasts. So, two great dramatic readings to keep up with. And if you're watching this on my bloggity blog and watching on the desktop version of my bloggity blog, please choose the follow by email option so you will never again miss out on any of my blog posts. After I do a little a little bit of updating some stuff that I have on Flight Rising, might finally begin to plan the rest of the Draco War series. So, and until next video, which will be on Monday. Please say, oh shit, I just messed up. I just messed up there. I was trying to do like 2 parts at once. But anyways, the next part of my Animorphs dramatic reading will be on Monday. And I hope you have a great weekend.